It's Kareen, your favorite Winning Edge What's Next Wednesday host. Maybe second favorite. Ronica Stone is forever the OG. Let's turn on some lights. And we are back with another episode to bring you the knowledge that you need to hear as you get ready to enter and be or continue or start your journey in sports and entertainment. As always, I try to bring you casual yet informative conversations with game changers, industry professionals, anybody who's willing to share their story and share advice. Today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited. I want for her to introduce herself and to give you the knowledge that she has and share more about the organization that she started and its growth and what she wants people to do. So we are going to bring her on live from her handle, Minorities in Sports Business. Hey there.
Hey girl, I'm in the car, so I'm sorry. But we making it work however we can. Let me take my mask off. Sorry.
I love it when a conversation like, girl, hold on, I'm in the car, girl. We gonna have to do this in the car. That's
Listen,
the
we
best
gotta
way
make it
to
work.
start a real conversation.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
I am good. I cannot complain. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. Is it snowing where you are? You're like hella bundled up.
It was snowing, but it was like this weird New York snow where nothing is sticking. So it's like just an annoying type of snow, not the fun movie snow. So here we are.
I don't
I'm
know.
in the car.
I've never been in New York with the fun movie snow. I've only been in New York with like the nasty snow.
Yeah, we have not had the fun movie snow in like years. So shout out to global warming. We just out here with random snow. Like, it's stupid.
Well, thank you for joining me from your car. Hopefully anything super important, but this conversation is going to be fantastic. I want the world to know who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yay. So should I just introduce myself? How does this work?
Yeah, introduce
Is that what it
yourself.
works?
Tell the world who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay, so I am Shaina Weil. I'm the founder and CEO of Minorities in Sports Business Network. Excuse how I look right now. I look like a homeless New Yorker, but we out here. I have been in the sports industry for about 12, 13 years. I don't even know what year we're in anymore. So we're just going to go with 12-13 years. And I've been mainly in the sales, marketing, digital marketing space. About 5 years ago, I started a group chat for people who look like me, mostly my friends who all worked in sports. I wanted us to help each other out like the white folk that I worked with helped each other out when they could call daddy who played golf with the president of ESPN and get a job. I was like, hey, we all kind of work in the industry at different cool companies. Like maybe we can help each other out the same way. If anything, we could just have a space where we can, talk realistically about the industry. So that turned into Minorities in Sports. So we are now about 1,000 members nationally, all people of color who work in the sports industry, all on the business side. So when we say sports business, we are not talking about your coaches and your GMs. We are talking about the front offices, people behind the scenes who are really making everything work. Because, realistically and transparently, I need to be honest, I feel like that side of the industry has been kind of getting away with murder these last couple of decades because nobody really focuses on them when they talk about diversity. They talk about how many Black coaches there are in the NFL, how many Black owners there are, how many Black GMs there are. But no one ever sits down and says, like, how many Black SVPs do we have in marketing at teams? You know what I mean? And those are the people who are like really running the show. So our goal is to help fill those roles and not necessarily just, and I know this audience is more junior, so we definitely love y'all too, but we want to make sure that when you do get into the industry that you're staying in the industry and you can eventually make it up to these senior roles. So that is our main goal. of helping, our members get into decision-making positions, revenue generating roles. But we do have a college arm as well. So we help college students and recent graduates get their foot in the door. We teach them how to network correctly, so y'all are not just sliding in someone's DMs on LinkedIn and sending them your resume thinking that's going to get you a job, because it's not. We teach you how to build relationships with people in the industry so they actually know who you are. But we also expose our college students and recent grads to different jobs. So, Karine, I'm sure, when you talk to a lot of your students, everybody wants to be an agent or a GM, right? And there are
Yes.
5 million bajillion jobs within this industry that have nothing to do with being an agent. So our goal is to also expose all of our students to the different jobs, different companies. There are more companies than just ESPN, the NBA, and the NFL. Like, you have companies like Endeavor and WME who deal with a lot of the off the court stuff and are like probably one of the most powerful players in the game. Companies like Octagon that you may not know. So we give our students exposure to different companies like that. So when they graduate, or, as they're looking for their first job, they kind of have a full breadth of what this industry is.
I'm smiling so hard because I literally can tell how passionate you are about this. And now I know what I sound like to other people.
We have had conversation after conversation about what the deal really is. So.
And so that's why I'm like, oh, so this is how I sound. Okay, cool. But I love it. You're like no holds bar, like just laid it all out there. I love that. Before we jump into what I want to talk to you about, where are your campus sites right now? Where are you showing love to college students right now for our game changers to know where they can find their local or their closest minorities in sports?
Yeah, so we do have a group chat where even if you're not on a specific college campus where we are, you can join that and be able to connect with hundreds of other college students who are interested in the same things as you, be able to share connections in there. That is also where we place all of our internships and our entry-level roles. So we have a number of companies who are hitting us up like, hey, can you share this with your network? So with that, you're not just applying like everybody else on teamworkonline.com where your resume is going to be one of 1,000.
Only 1,000?
Right, or more. But when you apply through us, your resume is going directly to the HR team. It's going directly to the hiring manager who reached out to us. So it's like you're getting personally recommended. Also, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to add to that point, but yeah, that's pretty much it. But in terms of on campuses, so we have college chapters on 5 campuses. 2 are kind of unofficial right now. I mean, 6 campuses, actually 6. Yes. 2 are unofficial right now because, COVID was not letting the administration kind of finalize anything. But if you are a student at the University of Missouri, Penn State University, UPenn, Howard, FAMU, or UCF, look for your local MIS chapter there. You can join. Those students are ready. I'm a little bit biased towards Penn State because that's my alma mater. I got the hoodie on right now, if you can see. They've been killing the game, but realistically, I love all my students. I love all my babies. They're all killing it.
I will have to say Penn State did show love. They're like our founder that came in the DMs and they represented. So
yeah, shout out to the Penn State MIS chapter. I see somebody was asking about FAMU.
That's Courtney.
Yeah. So FAMU, FAMU and Howard right now are still working through the official process. Administration, I think, just kind of had a backlog this year because of COVID, but they are still kind of running. I think in the spring is when they're going to kind of like launch unofficially. So definitely look for the students there. And then hopefully in fall of 2022, they'll be like official in terms of an on-campus organization when the university starts allowing. I think they were just not allowing new organizations to start just because of COVID, but they're on campus, they're still doing stuff, they're still getting the work done. So when they are official, it's like they just hit the ground running. So look for our students there. If you are interested in starting a chapter on your campus, please email me and hit me up. I am super easy to find. You can find me on LinkedIn just through my name. You can DM MIS. I always answer, or my coordinator Suleiman will see it. So it won't just go to some random ghost account where no one will answer you. We will answer you. For the most part, like any students who have come to us to start chapters, within a week we have them up and like running and going. And I say that because like we have never gone to a school and said like, hey, can we start a chapter on this campus? It's usually students like you guys who have come to us and been like, I want to get into the sports industry. Can I start an MIS chapter on my campus? And I'm like, bet, here's the paperwork. Do what you got to do. Let me know what you need from us. So it's really the students who are running this. And it's been great. Like they're able to connect with our professional members, meet people in the industry, have direct relationships with people in the industry. So our students have been able to get jobs out of MIS, definitely a ton of internships. So you're getting connected directly through to the industry. So if you're already a part of Winning Edge and MIS, like there's no way you're not getting in this industry. So level up.
Level up, level up. Okay, so you've been around the block. You worked at ESPN. You're adjunct professor now at Georgetown and West Virginia.
Yeah.
You're doing this. So let's talk to our audience, right? Let's talk about, let's the top 3 things you wish students knew, that not the top 3 things that people always say, but you and I, we deal a lot with young people, whether they're still in school or young professionals. What are 3 things that you really wish that they would listen, hear, and act on?
Yes, I love this question. I usually end my panels with the shit I wish someone would have told me question. The first thing I would say is networking connect correctly, right? And to that, I say not always just going to the CEO of a company, but like if you are interviewing, if you are meeting with someone, I always say one, network laterally, because you never know who's going to be able to help you. And sometimes those people who are a little bit more junior have more capacity to really build a relationship with you and can really get your name in the door. But also, you know, if you're interviewing with someone, make sure that you're networking with their assistant too. So if you have the assistant who did all the work, who set up your interview, who's printing out your resume for you, who's the one talking to you before you get into that interview, you make sure that you send them a thank you note. You are connecting with them, you're building a relationship with them, because they can be the one who can then go into that office and say like, hey, Shaina
Remember that?
really cool. Like, I think she's going to do great. What's another thing I would say? Oh yeah, in terms of going back to networking correctly too, like make sure that you are building a relationship. I always tell a story, which so no one makes the same mistake I did, of when I was an intern. I got access to this book that had the information of everybody who worked at one of the big 4 leagues. So me thinking I was being out of the box and thinking out of the box and being creative, I was like, I'm gonna just email everybody in this HR department, until I got an email saying like, please stop. This is not how you get a job here. So, but again, you know, that goes to my earlier point of building relationships. Like you cannot just send your resume to someone and think that that is going to be the thing that gets you a job, because at the end of the day, they don't know you and they don't owe you anything. So definitely work on building the relationships. I always say, like, when you're networking with someone, especially if it's someone senior, put their department, put their company, put their name into like a Google alert. So if something comes up, if they work on a deal that is big, or their company does something big, you'll get an email from Google saying like, hey, ESPN just closed this deal, XYZ. And then that person, you can easily send that person a note that's not asking them for something, but saying like, hey, congratulations on this. I just saw this in the news. I think it's great. that you did this. Would love to hear more of you when you have time, right? Like that's something that's completely different. That's not asking them for a job. That's not asking them to hook you up with somebody, but showing that you're doing the research and that you are invested in them as someone in the industry. And
Love it.
the last thing I'll say is something that a friend of mine always says, and he says to young people, is to always enjoy the moment. So don't always think about what the next step is. I feel like a lot of times as students, you're always thinking about like, and we do it too as professionals in this industry, like, when am I going to get to that director level? When am I going to get that next promotion? When am I going to get to do all the cool stuff and go to all the events and go to all the games and do all that stuff? Like, enjoy the moment now, enjoy the space that you're in, learn in that space, because that's going to be the stuff that prepares you for the next level. So definitely like take your time, be present in that space. Don't always be thinking about the next step. But just work your ass off and that next step will come.
So I'm going to sign up. Let's say I'm watching this. You got me hyped. I'm going to get and find a way to be a part of MIS. And not just MIS, but there are a lot of different organizations, whatever I'm supporting. If I'm Hispanic, there's a Hispanic. There's always a group. How do students, young professionals, make the most of these organizations? It's not just one. It's just not, hey, I'm part of the group chat now and I get all these internships. How do I really make sure it's working for me?
I love that you answer that question because, again, to be transparent and honest, I think that has been my biggest pain point with our college students and our recent grads. You have to be active and engaging. It is not just enough to just be a part of the org. So if you are a part of any org and they have events, go to those events. Even if they're virtual or not, you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know who you're going to meet. When I was coming up in this industry, I was everywhere to the point where now I really don't go nowhere because I'm tired. But when I was but I'm also 34 and has been in this game for 13 years. When I was coming up, I was 25 all through my 20s. Like, honestly, till about like maybe a year or two ago, I was going to every single thing that came across my lap. I wasn't thinking, and I feel like sometimes our students may think of just like the bigger name stuff. So it's like, oh, the NBA is doing this, I'm going to go to this because it's the NBA. Don't think that way. Like, go to every single thing that you can. Connect with every single person that you can. If you see an internship that is in the department that you want to be in, if it's marketing, but in your head you want to work for the NBA, but this is from some obscure company, still apply. Get your foot in the industry, because sometimes when you're waiting for that quote unquote dream role, that may not be the role that you want once you get in it. But if you come in and you're applying to some of these more obscure places because you're like, you know what, this is a really dope marketing role, I've never heard of this company. Most of the time, those are the companies that are doing really dope stuff in the industry, and you'll get to do way more than if you were at one of the big four leagues or at an ESPN. So I would say definitely keep an open mind, engage. So apply to the stuff. Like, I remember this summer we did it was kind of like a mini mentorship day with MLB, right? We had like 8 students apply out of hundreds, right? And I'm like, guys, this is giving you the opportunity to have 30 minutes with someone who is at a league office, right? Like, why would you not jump on that? So I would say my biggest thing is you stay engaged. You are going to get out of it what you put into it, because I've definitely had students who come to me 2 years later like, hey, so I've really been looking for a job and I can't find a job, and can you let me know what you have available? And I'm like, yeah, we post stuff like literally every day in there. So are you paying attention to the group chat? Are you scrolling through and seeing what jobs we have? Or are you only looking for one specific thing? So I would say definitely keep an open mind. Don't always just wait for that sexy position to pull up. And I'll shout out my coordinator, Jasmine. Like, she came on to help me for a year, right? But in no way is MIS on the same level as like an NBA or NFL, right? But she saw that opportunity of like, look, if I'm helping Shaina out, that means that my face is getting in front of all these people who work in the industry that I want to work in, right? And she now has a job with the NFL. And I still have people coming to me like, hey, we have this role open. You think Jasmine would be good for it? Like, because she's done that work for the year where she was really putting her face and her name out there so people know who she is. So it panned out and worked out for her in the future, as opposed to her just being like, okay, I just graduated college. I'm going to wait till the NFL has a role for me and then try to go in that way. Because when it came down to it, it was really like she was interested in that role. Someone who was hiring for that role hit me up and said, hey, you know, Jasmine applied. Do you think she'd be great? I was like, she's phenomenal. She got that job in like 3 days. So, you know, work smart.
Yes, you're like preaching. I feel like I was like alone in the, hey, okay, I'm gonna have this Zoom thing with PGA Tour because they have an internship and 6 of you sign up, but then 30 of you gonna hit me up next week talk about you need a job. And I'm like, where were you at when this PGA Tour conversation was happening? Right. Where were you when we had this organization on? So I like, that's why I'm like laughing so hard. I'm trying not to laugh tremendously because you're just like saying the things that I like drive me crazy too. Right. And I think I appreciate that you said it because now some of our game changers who are on here, who are listening now, or who are going to be watching later can kind of understand that it's not just Karina's crazy trying to get you to do the most. It's like, put yourself out there, be engaged, scroll through, right? Chat. Don't just send 1,000 messages and then that's it. Like, build connections, set up a Google alert, you know, congratulate people, like be more than just the person that's going to reach out when they need something.
And network with your peers. Like, don't forget that. Network with your peers. If you were in a group chat and y'all are all college students right now, y'all are not going to be college students forever. So in 5 years, when each of you are working at different companies, that's literally what I do now. That's what you do, Karine, because I see you do it. Like, because we are still, like, I would say both for me and you, most of the things we get done in this industry are people that we knew when we were interns at ESPN or like coordinators at ESPN. But it's because like we've built those relationships with each other that the trust is there. And now, like, I don't have to go hit up some senior executive at ESPN because I could just hit up my homegirl who I worked with for the past 10 years and we're still friends, and she can get the job done through that way. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing or for emphasizing networking with your peers, because I feel like so often it's like, I got to get the biggest dog in the building. Mm-hmm. And you started off the conversation with acknowledging those assistants that are helping you. It's spending time with those junior people because they have the capacity to engage. But don't forget the people you coming up with. Like, mm-hmm. These are the people that can, when they're sitting at the table and they're like, their organization is saying, hey, we're looking for somebody, like, oh, you know, I went to grad school with XYZ. I think they would be great. They've been at this company in the past 5 years. So I appreciate you emphasizing a lot of the things that we share. Before I let you go, is there any lasting or parting words that you want to have? I will say, are you not talking at NSF today?
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Got it.
Today is Wednesday, right? Today's not Thursday?
Yes. Like, yes.
I was like, is my panel in 30 minutes? No. It's tomorrow.
Okay. So I just had one today on diversity and inclusion and it went well. So sending you positive vibes. But,
thank you.
Any parting words for our audience, whether they're watching live or in the future? And let me make sure we don't have any questions. We don't. But yeah, any parting words?
I would say just stay open. Do not stick to what you think your dream role or job is, or your dream city to work in is. Like, be open. It does not all have to be you have to work for the Lakers in LA. You have to work for the NBA in New York. Like, be open. If you see a role, like I said, from some obscure company or maybe a team that may not be in the biggest city, and you're like, oh, but this is, you know, a department I really want to go into, like, take that chance and take that job. Apply for it, because 9 times out of 10, you know, you will have more visibility there. You'll probably learn more than you would at some of the bigger places. And I'll say that from experience. One of my first jobs was in inside sales for the Nets, and not the Brooklyn Nets that we know now. I'm talking about the New Jersey Nets in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The season they were 12-70. Okay, we started 0-18. That Nets. My first job was in inside sales there, and my job was to make 100 phone calls a day. They have since revamped this inside sales program, so it's not as daunting as it was before, but it does not sound like the sexiest job, because my job was to sell tickets. So call people up and say, hey, you should come to a Nets game. I know we're losing, but still come and pay us to come to this game. But I always say that job prepared me the most out of any job that I've had. And I've worked at some really cool places. I've worked at some really dope accounts. I've worked with some really, really cool people. That job to me will always be the most beneficial job that I've ever had in this industry, because it taught me how to hustle. When I realized that we were 0-18 and people could go online and get a courtside seat for $5 from RazorGator.com, and I'm trying to sell you that same ticket for $200, it taught me to get real creative, figure out an experience for them, figure out a way to sell. Twitter was new at that time. I was like, I'm gonna go and find all the Nets fans on Twitter and try to sell them tickets. We can't do that anymore. There's like regulations now, but this is before the regulations. But still, like, it taught me to be super creative, because I couldn't just pick up the phone and call people. But those were skills that I take to this day. So when I am pitching MIS for something, it makes me kind of go into that little box in my brain, like, okay, when I was at the Nets, like, how did I come up with this idea? How did I think about this? Like, what way can I position it that if I am on the other side, that I can be like, okay, this is why I should give them money. So it was, to me, even though I was miserable at the time, because I was like, I'm making $8 an hour, sitting in this room with no windows, making 100 phone calls to people who hate this team, trying to sell them tickets. This is trash. But I look back on it and I'm like, that was probably one of the best jobs that I've had. And I made some lifelong friends there, because we were all in the grind together, people that I still work with to this day, that we're still hooking each other up with opportunities, So don't be open. Don't look at a job and say, like, that job is trash, that's whack, I don't want to do that. You don't know what it's going to turn into. And if you don't like it, you can always leave. So that is a thing too. But, be open so you can learn from your experiences.
Awesome. Before you go, we did get one question. Here it is, here from one of our game changers. What's one thing now you would tell yourself, your past self, prior to graduating?
Get an internship. In college, I was just trying to make money. So I was like, I'm going to have my little side jobs. And that's it. Like, I'll work on my career when I graduate. If you know that you want to work in sports, start working on your career now. Do the networking now. Get an internship now. Make sure that you are engaged in organizations like Winning Edge and MIS. Like, when we are doing events, show up, meet people at those events. Be one of those 6 people that sign up, because when they are looking to hire people, they're going to remember those 6 students who showed up. So, start your networking process from now. Take advantage of the opportunities that are out there, and don't just like wait for what you think your dream internship is, because you're going to be stuck when you graduate. So start doing the work from now.
Yes. And where can people find MIS? How can people start getting engaged with MIS after they finish watching this?
Definitely through our social. We have shout out to my coordinator Suleiman. He's checking it all the time. So through our social, our newsletters come directly from my email. So if you're signed up for our newsletters, you can reply to that, and that email will come directly to me. But yeah, I would say that just really follow us on socials. We're here, like, when we do events, show up, come through. So that's how you can find us.
I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's like you got a lot going on. You sitting in your car is proven fact that you got a lot going on. So I appreciate the time that you took to talk to me today. I was looking forward to this call, and you did not disappoint.
Thank
And
you.
Our game changer Melanie just followed you. She is a game changer for sure. She's somebody that shows up. And so any way that we can help her, we want to do that.
Yes,
Thank you
Milani,
again
hit me up.
and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Well, that was Minorities in Sports, and I want to make sure that you are following them, you are staying engaged, and she dropped a lot of great knowledge. Make sure you continue to come here on Wednesdays with What's Next, where we have conversations with professionals as you begin or continue your journey in sports and entertainment. We want to make sure that we engage, we empower, and we elevate the next generation. This is Kareen, and you've been watching What's Next.